Hello everyone, I'm Shio. Today we're going to look at a fight in Dark Souls 3 that is regarded as one of the easiest fights in the game. Wait, easiest? Well, bear with me. Crystal Sage. It's an early game boss that I think is actually fairly complex and difficult to get down if you use something like, say, magic. An extended Sage fight makes most challenge runners quiver because of the inevitability of fighting the dreaded Phase 2. So let's go over the fight to simplify everything. Step 1. Equip your twin blades. Step 2. Spam L1 until Crystal Sage dies. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. You can uninstall your game now because you have won. I'm kidding. Phase 1 is easy enough. There are 8 spawn locations, and for the purpose of this I will refer to where you enter as the south location, and where Sage spawns for the very first time as the north location. During Phase 1, Sage will always spawn where there is an absence of crystals. I personally use a sound cue and just head toward wherever I hear noises from, but there are specific patterns of the crystals on the ground which will lead you to him. Phase 1 is easy enough, and I'm not here to cover a complex memorization of every little detail about this fight. Come on. This fight is an early game boss after all. I need it to be easy. After you get through Phase 1, at around 60% health left, Phase 2 will start. This happens when he casts teleportation and is uninterruptible. Crystals will spread across the room and you'll hear a loud shattering noise. In Phase 2, Sage will only spawn from crystals. He will also spawn directly across the arena from you. If you're hanging out in the northwest location when you start Phase 2, crystals will pop and he will spawn around the southeast location. But there's RNG, our wonderful Lord and Savior, Monsieur RNGesus. There are 3 locations where Sage can spawn in Phase 2. That's the spot directly across from you. Again, if you're in the northwest position, that's the southeast. But he can also spawn in the adjacent locations of south and east. The key to remember here is he has to spawn in a crystal, and I got another trick up my sleeve. There's a priority list to the spawns, which will help you nail down where Sage will be. They apply to every position, but from my experience, I always do corner to corner so I don't make mistakes. The very first spawn that is priority, or rather, a giveaway, is the east location. There are actually 2 spawn points here, one against the wall and one closer to the center of the arena. Once you know where to look, it's easy to discern which is which. The spawn point against the wall will always be Sage. No questions. If there are crystals against the wall on the east side and a Sage spawns on them, that is the real Sage. My own findings, this is 100% the case. Okay, so that's one of them. That's the only spawn point, however, that has an easy tell. Every other point has a priority system. What's a priority system? It is such that if Sage has crystals at 2 or 3 locations, he will go to one location over the others. So we run from the southeast corner to the northwest, eager to get hitting on that Sage like we're clubbing on a Friday night. But wait, there are crystals at the west, the northwest, and the north. So where do I go? Well, let's talk about the priorities. In the northeast corner, north will always override other locations. If crystals and a Sage spawn in the north location, it will be a real Sage. If there are no crystals or no Sages that spawn north, northwest is the priority, that cozy corner for the cuddly crew. The lowest priority spawn is the west location. Okay, so you whap Sage like it's the 80s and he nopes out of there, but you don't want him to teleport directly across from the north location. What can you do? Well, you have until the crystals spawn to move your character. At the time of the crystals popping and you hear that shattering sound is when the game determines where Sage will spawn. That's a long time between when Sage casts teleport to when the next location is determined. You can move around to manipulate where you will have him spawn. Make the game work for you. because you're unique. People like you, and you deserve it. We can move back into an easy-to-read location, and back to the cages we go. So, let's look at the priority list for the southeast spawn location. You're standing northwest, and you see a crystal pop south, southeast, and east. Well, I guess we just die and come back tomorrow with a new controller, because the last one lay in 287 pieces at the base of the wall next to us, and no, I won't clean it up because it needs to feel my anger for at least another week. But wait, let's think about that priority system again. This time it's a bit different. We know when Sage will spawn east, because, well, Sage skipped down on the final course of teleporting and can't quite get it 100% of the time. When Sage spawns from crystals against the eastern wall, he is the real Sage. Did we cover this already? If Sage spawns from crystals against the eastern wall, it will always be the real Sage. The south spawn point, where you enter the fight from, that's the second priority. If Sage didn't spawn east, and there are crystals and a Sage that spawns south, well, that's the real one. The lowest priority is in the corner. Each of the 8 spawn points has an opposite point, with 2 additional points adjacent to them. They all have their priorities, but we're not here to cover every single one of them. And besides, I like my corners, because I like it simple. Back and forth with my foreign flash sword until Sage goes down, like your mum after a few vodkas on a Saturday night. So there you have it. I hope this explanation gave you a bit more as to how Sage works. I find it an interesting fight, this fight coming off as such an easy one. Yes, it's an early game fight, and generally quick work with melee. But if you have to fight him in less than ideal circumstances, or with magic, which he's resistant to, it's a completely different fight. I hope you enjoyed this video on the Crystal Sage from Dark Souls 3. That's all for now, friends. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay cute, and be kind to one another. Bye-bye.